Carr walked barefoot through the house and into the garage. He hit the button that opened the garage door, then popped the trunk of his black Audi. He reached in for his golf shoes, opened the Audi front door, sat in the driver's seat, and tied his shoes. He figured it had taken him 5 minutes so far, and it was another 5 minutes to the club. He threw the car in reverse, turned around in the driveway, then drove 55 into 35, and was at the club in 4 minutes. No time to hit balls on the range, but he'd made it on time. He walked quickly to the first tee. "Well, well, last-minute Larry," Matt Braddock greeted Carr on the tee. Chris Coolidge, always a stickler about time, glanced down at his clunky Rolex as if to say, "You just made it." Jack Vanderveer simply gave him a smile and a little wave. "The usual?" Carr asked Braddock. "Yeah, you and me against the right-wingers," Braddock said. "100 aside," Carr said under his breath. "Can Coolidge afford that? Might have to mortgage his condo if he loses." "You mean when he loses?" said Braddock. Carr nodded and smiled. "Quit your mumbling," Vanderveer said. "By the way, I'm feeling lucky today." "Well, I'm feeling good," Carr said. "I'll take luck any day," said Vanderveer. "And the banner begins," Braddock said to Carr. "Tee it up. We already hit." Carr took a ball and tee out of his pocket and turned to Matt. "Yours was long and straight, I assume?" "Sorry, not so long, and first cut of the rough," Braddock said. "All right," Carr said, teeing up his ball. "Guess I gotta bail you out, as usual." Carr waggled his driver a few times and took a ferocious cut at the ball. It was long and straight. "Nice going, partner," Braddock said. Carr and Braddock walked off the tee together, right behind Coolidge and Vanderveer. Vanderveer turned back to the other two. "Who is it who smells so good?" "I noticed that too," Braddock said. "You wearing your Chanel No. 5 today, Lair?" "No, I think it's called Good Girl Gone Bad," Carr said, remembering his lady friend's perfume. "A subject you're quite the expert on," Vanderveer said. "What's that, Jack?" Carr said. "Making good girls into naughty ones." The men were playing the challenging course at the prestigious Island Club in Delray Beach, Florida. It wasn't challenging because it was long and narrow, but because it was short and wet, meaning a lot of shots splashed down in one of the many water hazards. Usually, men who play golf in a foursome are jovial and genial, swapping stories, hurling jokes and light-hearted insults back and forth. But not always. No, this was a cutthroat team match between men who knew each other but didn't necessarily go to the same cocktail parties. The second hole at the Island Club was a par 3 over a lagoon that had swallowed up its fair share of golf balls over the years, largely because there was a steep bank right before the green. If you landed on it, your ball often backed down into a watery grave. Vanderveer had teed off first and landed on the far edge of the green, a long way from the hole. "Looks like three-putt territory to me," Carr jibed him. Then Coolidge teed off. It was a towering shot that looked good at first, but then a stiff breeze caught it, and it landed on top of the bank. "Uh-oh," said Carr, seeing his opponent's ball slowly rolling backward toward the water. "Going?" he said as the ball picked up speed. "Going?" he said as it raced toward the water. "Gone," he said, as the ball disappeared into the water. "Glug, glug, glug," Carr added. Coolidge turned to Carr, who was doing a poor job of suppressing a grin. "Asshole," Coolidge hissed. "It was going to be in the hole if it wasn't for the wind." "If," Carr said. "You always have an if, don't you, Chris?" Carr turned and teed up his ball. As he did, a family of 4 Egyptian geese slowly tramped across the green. With brown plumage and a splash of white on their feathers, the geese had a smug, haughty look about them. The father, slightly larger, led the way, with the mother a half-step behind, trailed by 2 smaller geese. Carr took 2 practice swings and looked ready to drive.